Welcome in to It's Just the Show. I'm your host, Jay Stone, and with me as always is Cory Champney.
Hey.
And we're here in Habersham Broadcasting Studios in the beautiful Northeast Georgia mountains. And today's episode is brought to you by 99.3 WCON, My Country. And we're here today to talk to you about the usual Braves baseball, Atlanta Falcons football, the Georgia Bulldogs, New England Patriots football, and the Boston Red Sox. Cory, I hear that Ozzie Albies is playing pretty well right now.
Yeah, the notification just dinged on my phone. Well, it came up, two-run homer against the Yankees. Oh, we all know, well, people who know me know how I feel about the Yankees. Being from Boston, it's not my favorite team at all.
Yeah, growing up there up in the Northeast, I imagine you developed a different kind of hate.
Well, I grew up down here, but, I'm originally from Massachusetts, and, I grew up having to listen to my Uncle Greg, shout out to my Uncle Greg, about, Red Sox, Patriots, Celtics, all that good stuff. But my first baseball game ever was at Fenway Park, and I didn't become a Braves fan until we moved down to Georgia when I was like in second grade, I guess. And, Braves were on TBS, and I saw this team, and they were killing it, and 95 rolled around, and they won the World Series and went to the, parade and everything, and it was awesome. And then, we had to wait so long for it to happen again. But being a Braves fan and a Red Sox fan, I can say that the Braves are my favorite team because they originated in Boston.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. We'll start off today just talking about the most recent passing of the great Willie Mays. And Cory's done a little research. I'm just going to let you take the wheel on this one.
So, obviously, when you talk about Willie Mays, you talk about greatest of all time. One of the greats of all time. What a lot of people don't realize is, he did play in the Negro Leagues. He played in the Negro Leagues the same time, as Jackie Robinson was breaking the color barrier. Just to run some numbers by you, he had a .301 career batting average, wow. 3,293 hits, 660 home runs, 1,909 RBIs, and 339 stolen bases. And he played his career with the Birmingham Black Barons of the Negro Leagues in 1948. Played with the New York / San Francisco Giants from 1951 to 52, and then from 54 to 72. So I guess he went to Korea, maybe, and fought in the Korean War. And then he finished his career out with the Mets from 1972 to 1973. He is in the Baseball Hall of Fame, and he's mostly known for that awesome catch in Game 1 of the 1954 World Series where, he caught it over his shoulder and then in one single move, grabbed the ball, chucked it back into the infield. And ballparks were a lot bigger back then, and the Polo Grounds where he was playing was huge.
I seen something today where they were in the outfield on the outside of the stadium in Birmingham, and there's an old concrete wall back there, and like dead center's 478 feet.
Yeah.
That would not be a home run hardly ever in any way.
Maybe Babe Ruth could hit that.
I guess. We're talking like 445 feet or bombs. He hit a shot out of here. Well, that wouldn't even bounce off the wall.
Yeah, you're hitting him to the gap at that point. 400 feet. That's like to the warning track. That.
Yeah, they were like, home runs are not really part of baseball, but if you can hit it 500 feet, go for it.
Yeah, you had to be quick. You had to be fast.
Yeah,
But rest in peace, Willie Mays. He was 93 years old, a true legend of the game, and Barry Bonds' godfather, I believe.
That's the truth.
And so we just want to give our condolences to the San Francisco Giants. They lost one of their greatest of all time. I think when you think of Giants, you think of two players. You think of Barry Bonds and you think of Willie Mays. And he will truly be missed, but he did so much for the sport of baseball that I think we can all appreciate it and say that, Willie Mays is one of the greatest of all time.
Oh, absolutely. You can rank somebody up there that's that consistent and the impact that he made on the game. You got youngsters out here every day putting more and more content on the internet, and you're seeing these black and white highlight reels, and it's awesome to see what the internet is doing for future generation of ball players, and getting to see Willie Mays. That over-the-shoulder catch is viral right now. There's so many different platforms where they've got hundreds of thousands of likes on that one video. It's incredible to see a generational talent of his time transcend generations with his abilities. Like, he'd have been a good ball player today.
Oh, yeah.
Starting lineup on any one of those teams.
Yeah. Oh, think about this. This will blow your mind. He and Hank Aaron are playing the same time.
Right?
You know?
Could you imagine, like, the end of the game handshake on that one?
I mean, I'm sure they respected each other.
Of course.
I'm sure that they had love for each other. I mean, they had the competitive spirit, but just to think, man, to be a baseball fan back in like the 50s and 60s and get to watch these guys.
They don't know how good they had it.
I mean, people probably say that about the Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, the home run chase and all that, and Barry Bonds. Oh, they don't know how good they had in the early 2000s. Yeah, we do. yeah, we do. Yeah, we know how good it was.
Yeah, we were all on the edge of our seat, glued to the TV, going, wondering how long this was going to last.
And if you missed it, you had ba-da-da, da-da-da.
That's right.
You had SportsCenter coming on, and, I remember getting ready for school every morning, and SportsCenter would play in a loop until, like, lunchtime.
Oh,
so
yes.
you could always watch SportsCenter as you're getting ready for school or eating cereal or, doing whatever it was. But, yeah, I mean, we had it so good.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I'm sitting here, you're thinking the time frame that these men played. So they weren't just playing baseball like guys can today if they really just want to play baseball. Like, you don't hear anything about certain all-stars outside of their statistics, like Mike Trout. He's super quiet. There's not a lot of people other than their foundations you're going to hear stuff about. But Willie Mays and Hank Aaron, those guys were fighting a race war every day.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Death threats,
Yes. I had an interview with Ron Reed, who played for the Detroit Pistons and the Milwaukee Braves and played with Hank Aaron. And he was telling me a story going into that season where Hank hit 715 and broke the record. That offseason, he was getting death threats and not fan mail, but quite the opposite in a very racist way, and talking about his family and it was not a good look. And the first at bat of the first game of the season, he went out there and broke the record, and it was kind of like if we're going to do this, let's get it over with.
I mean, he had fans running out on the field. You know, two white guys ran out in the field to, shake his hand and hug him, and he's just stone cold, just running the bases, not even, he's just like, get up off me.
Just as stoic as he could be.
And that's the thing, like, you think about it. I mean, Willie Mays, he played in New York and San Francisco, so, I mean, it was probably still bad, but Hank Aaron played in the Deep South. He played in Atlanta. After they came to Atlanta in 66, he played in Atlanta, and he was breaking Babe Ruth's record while in Atlanta.
That's a big deal.
And you're talking about late 60s, early 70s when, there was still a lot of racism in this world at the time. I don't know how he would have been able to do it. I don't know how mentally he was able to prepare himself for that. I mean, that takes a different type of person.
Absolutely. I mean, the people that come to mind, Jordan, Kobe, the people that are pointed out for their mentality and the way they approach the game, I think that Hank Aaron is a way underrated player, especially after interviewing Ron Reed. He talked about Hank Aaron kind of let the team know before the first game, what he was walking out there and what he was facing. And Ron said that they didn't really talk about their feelings. Men didn't talk about, well, what you going to do about it? There was no tea. It was just, hey, men, I want you to know this. This is the obstacle I'm going up against. And the team was like, we got your back.
Yeah.
And I asked Ron, did anybody ask him what his plan was, what he was going to do? He said, absolutely not. You didn't. Hank was a living legend. You didn't just go have simple small talk with Hank. And I think that's something that's left out of sports and commentating today is even in his time while he was still playing, because of the time frame, everybody knows Jordan. And at the time, everybody respected Jordan and feared Jordan. But there was not video cameras everywhere when Hank was playing. But there needs to be some folks talking to these players. They're getting older in their years. Ron was at a golf tournament hosted by Daryl Cheney at Innsbruck in Helen. Shout out to Daryl Cheney. Fantastic personality. He's hilarious. I'd love to have him on our show. He's wonderful to talk to, and he's the one that set up the interview with Ron for me.
Yeah.
And Ron talked about, it was a different time back then. Men were truly more stoic.
Yeah.
There was more of a mystique around everybody. You couldn't just run to the computer and look up, hey, they were born this year, this is their birthday, this is their height and weight.
There was no social media
at all.
You had to wait for that radio interview or that TV interview or something. Most times you're like, yeah, I played really well, and it was a team effort, and I just got to give it to my teammates. It was no me, myself, and I.
Right.
I mean, that was, in the 80s, you'd see a lot more of that personality come out when you had guys like Bo Jackson. It's Bo time. It's all about
it's
Bo.
Bo time.
It's Bo, But, I mean, you started to see those personalities start to come out. But the fact that Hank Aaron did what he did, and he was able to take it, and he used it as motivation. I'm going to show all of y'all. I'm going to show you guys what I'm capable of. I'm going to break that record, and then forever you guys will have to call me the guy who broke Babe Ruth's record.
Absolutely.
And then another African-American broke his record,
Yep.
Barry Bonds. So, I will always say that Hank Aaron is probably the best baseball player because he played under such scrutiny.
Yep.
Jackie Robinson did the same thing when he broke the color barrier and was just showed them what he could do.
Yes.
Hank Aaron did the same thing. He said, I'm going to let all my talking be done on the field. I'm not going to pay it any attention. I'm not going to strike back. I'm going to just be quiet and let my bat do the talking. And that's exactly what he did.
I'd love to see a lot more of that today.
Yeah.
I would love to see Bryce Harper just play baseball. He would. Bryce Harper has something else. And if he would just get it together, man, you know what I mean? And I hate the Phillies, don't get me wrong. And I don't want to see them succeed because I'm a Braves fan, diehard. But at the same time, as far as explosive talent goes, you can say that about if I would have been a little bit older, I wouldn't have hated Jordan most likely because I was a Hawks fan. I'm a Hawks fan. But I grew up with Jordan's comeback on live TV and Space Jam.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
6, 7, 8 years old. This is my first impression of sports was literally otherworldly.
I didn't really pay attention to basketball until Space Jam came out. And I was like, who's this guy playing with Bugs Bunny?
Yeah.
Michael Jordan. Like, I heard the name Michael Jordan. I knew that he played basketball, and I knew he was really, really good. But I didn't start paying attention to basketball until I watched Space Jam. And then I was like, oh, look, Boston has a team. The Celtics. Speaking of which,
yes, sir.
Good transition here. How about them Celtics?
Yeah, ouch. I didn't see that coming. I'm going to go ahead and put my shoe in my mouth here and say I picked Dallas in 6, and they really let me down.
Here's the difference. And people can say what they want about Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum and Porzingis and, even a veteran in Al Horford. Boston played more as a team. And I think Dallas relied so much on one player, Luka. And Luka is not Michael Jordan.
No.
He cannot take a team and carry it on his back.
He's not Kobe Bryant either.
Kobe could do it. MJ could do it. There's very few people that could do it. And I think that Boston won this as a team. And people were saying that Boston came out of nowhere. No, they came close last year.
Yeah, they didn't come out of nowhere. They planned this.
Exactly. They were close the year before. The West was so weak, and really no one in the East was going to challenge Boston.
Yes.
I mean, who? Philly?
Yeah, I can't really remember a championship team where someone was like, they didn't deserve that. They didn't have any grit. Because this Celtics team, they had grit. They lost. They went into the offseason, and there was no quit. They didn't stop. They kept going. There was no offseason for them. They ran through drills. They got better. They worked as a unit. They stayed together, and that mentality is what breeds championships. And it would not surprise me if they win 2 or 3 in a row.
It made them hungry. It made them. They used it as motivation. And let's look at remember 2020, the Braves lost to the Dodgers in the NLCS, and turn around. What do? It motivates them. It motivates them to carry them all the way to the World Series, and they won in 2021.
Right.
But it's the same thing. And then people are going to hate on the Braves. Oh, they shouldn't have won it. They beat a weak Astros team. the Astros were like the best team in the American League and had the best record in the American League at the time. How could they not be a better team? It's like, but the same thing. Let me take you back to 2003. Red Sox and Yankees, ALCS. Aaron Boone hits a walk-off home run in Game 7. Red Sox lose. Red Sox-Yankees in 2004, ALCS rematch. They're down 3-0. They have that motivation. They come back and do what no team has ever done before and win 4 in a row and go right on to the World Series and end the 86-year drought. I mean, come on.
Pretty special.
No one can. I mean, I've never heard so much hate for an NBA championship team. And for some reason, they're getting it all. And I'm like, why?
They're Boston.
Well, I mean,
nobody wants to listen to a Bostonian celebrate a sports victory.
You think the Patriots ruined it for all of us?
Absolutely. We had to listen to that for 20 years. That's 2 decades.
All right, let's break it down.
How about them Patriots?
Since 2000, okay, the Patriots have won 6 Super Bowls. Red Sox have won 4 World Series. The Celtics have won, 2 championships now? And the Bruins have won. So that's like 15? 14, 15?
We're tired of hearing it.
Well, I mean, I'm tired of hearing about New York. I'm tired of hearing about Los Angeles. And I'm tired of these teams going out and buying all these players and then what? They don't win? Yeah, I'm talking to you, Dodgers. You know, and it's like, okay, I understand. Everybody got tired of Brady and Belichick. I didn't because, I was a Patriots fan and, 28-3.
Ouch.
Yeah.
So a little backstory on that and why it's a little extra spicy for me. I'm at Super Bowl 51 in Houston, Texas, doing the NFL tailgate party. I'm working for a labor company out there. I was a steward. We built the tailgate party in the NRG arena outside of the stadium. It's kind of a complex there, NRG. It's NRG Park, and it's all built around the Astrodome, which is super cool. So once everything gets blockaded off, it's just like golf cart central. Everybody's riding around on side-by-side ATVs and golf carts. So we get everything squared away. The party's on, and the part of my job's done. 7:30 in the evening, I'm heading out. Me and my coworker hop in the truck. We go to the hotel. Downstairs hotel bar is an actual Tex-Mex restaurant, and we're sitting at the bar watching the games. 28-3. He pats me on the shoulder, and he's like, buddy, we got to get up at 4:30 in the morning. We should probably get some sleep. I wake up at 4:30 in the morning. My roommate already has the TV on, and I see across the bottom of the screen, 28-3, largest comeback in Super Bowl history. Tom Brady, GOAT status, does it again. And it's just a really rough experience to have to go into work that day. And the day before, you were working with a bunch of blue-collar folks from all over the country, and the next morning, everybody's got a Patriots hat and a towel hanging out of their back pocket.
Bandwagon. That's the thing. I can say that I've been a Patriots fan before Brady came along. Bledsoe, I remember that first Super Bowl when Bill Parcells was their head coach where they lost to Brett Favre and the Packers. But bandwagon fans make me so angry. Like, I become Incredible Hulk. It's like, okay, in 2022, everybody was wearing an Atlanta Braves hat and an Atlanta Braves shirt because they had just won the World Series. Everybody was a Red Sox fan after 2004. And it's like, come on. I've had to ride and die with these teams, the Red Sox and the Braves. Like, when they play each other, it's like, who's hitting? Yeah. Because that's who I'm rooting for.
Whoever's on offense.
But I'm like, these bandwagon fans, they always choose winners.
Yes.
They don't know what it's like to lose. And listen, in life, you're going to have losses.
Yes.
And whether you're rooting for a sports team that's really good or you're a Pirates or Royals fan, I'm sorry, or you're like a Browns fan, you've never experienced a Super Bowl. But life is full of losses, and you can't jump on a bandwagon in life and then jump off and go to the next team that's winning. It's like a lot of these Patriot fans have become Chiefs fans now. And
right.
It's like, take a loss.
They just want to go to the next Super Bowl, man.
Understand what losing does. Losing makes you better and in life, losing makes you better. We've all lost.
Unless you're the Carolina Panthers.
Well, yeah. But, I mean, we've all lost. We've all had losses in our life, whether it's a personal loss, financial loss, whatever it may be. We've all lost. But we've come out the other end. What do? We trade, we draft, we get better, right? And we build ourselves up. We get stronger mentally, physically, and we come out the other side. And, life is full of championship games and Super Bowls, and I'm using metaphors like crazy here, but it is. And to be a bandwagon fan and never experience a loss.
Or a lull. Good gracious.
My wife is not a sports fan at all. So she doesn't she doesn't understand when I get mad when a team loses. She's like, it's just a game. It's stupid. Why are you so mad? You're not playing the game.
It's more than just a game.
You don't understand. We've lived our entire life rooting for teams. We've spent our entire life, designing our Saturdays around and Sundays around football or, a night for baseball. And it's like, listen, if you don't understand, you don't understand. I don't know why, they like arts and crafts or shopping or any of that. I don't get it. I don't understand why they like to get their nails done or any of that type of stuff. But it's what makes you happy.
Right.
And watching my team, whether they're getting smoked or they're winning, makes me happy.
Yeah.
And I love my wife. I love my kids. But, by the way, I want to say happy belated birthday to my wife, Tanya. Not that she'd be listening because she doesn't like sports, but I'm going to throw it out there anyways. Happy birthday. I love you. And my two boys, I love them, but I've always been in love with sports. It's been there for me when, things were rough for me, and it was an escape. I could always rely on sports, It never talked back.
Right.
It'd break your heart, but at least they always come back to you, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But
I mean, if you're an Atlanta Falcons fan, all they do is break your heart, but at least the Dogs won 2 national championships in my lifetime. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah.
I'd just like to throw out there that Jared Kelnick singled on a line drive to right field, and Juan Soto threw it in. Not in time. Adam Duvall scores.
It's 4-0. Oh, Riley hit a home run too in the first. So hey.
Nice. Let's get another Yankee sweep. What's that statistic? What's the series?
Here's the deal. All time, Braves and Yankees. They played in 2 World Series. In 1996, Andrew Jones came up and was the youngest player to hit a home run in 96. He hit 2 of them in the first game. But the Yankees went on to win in 6 games. Then in 99, you had Chipper Jones with his MVP year and everything, and the Yankees just swept them.
Demolished them.
Yeah. And so they played their first interleague series in 1997, and the Braves took 2 out of 3. But when your winning pitchers are Denny Nagle and Greg Maddux, you're going to win. But overall, Atlanta has only 19 wins to the Yankees' 26. But last year in August, the Braves swept them. They won 11-3, 5-0, and 2-0.
Wow, shut them out twice.
Yeah, they only scored 3 total runs in 3 games.
I don't want to project anything here because we got a 4-0 lead real early in the game, and the Yankees are the best team in baseball. They're gonna play. It's gonna happen.
That lineup is ridiculous.
It really is. Like, I can remember growing up and just people talking about Steinbrenner and money and no salary cap in baseball, and it's like it's not fair because the Yankees have more money than everyone. And right now, it just looks like they spin it right because I don't hear that every day anymore.
Yeah.
But they definitely figured out how to spend their money.
Yeah, and it's not like the Dodgers. The Dodgers are like the Yankees of the late 90s, the mid to late 90s, early 2000s. They're going out buying all these players, and it's not working out for them because you're buying players that are either in their prime or past their prime, and you're buying them too late.
Yeah.
And that was the Yankees' problem. They're buying them too late. But you go out and you get a guy like Juan Soto, who, as Braves fans, when he played with the Nats, great player. But he's still fairly young. He still has, a lot of game left in him. But you put him in there with Aaron Judge, who's probably the greatest young player right now that's playing, and he's not even that young. And then Giancarlo Stanton. I mean, they have a murderer's row, so to speak, of...
And we had to see Stanton a lot when he was in Miami. And
yeah.
He was a nightmare.
Yeah, when he was with the Marlins, it was like, oh, man, he got traded to the Yankees? Oh.
It was like, thank goodness. I only have to see him maybe once or twice a year. Back to basketball.
Yeah.
So to work off what you were talking about, why is it that everybody's hating on Boston sports or specifically the Boston Celtics right now? It's like their team looks like it doesn't look like a team. I don't know how to explain their chemistry. Like when they're out on the floor, I don't see the spark. It's not like watching Golden State. It's not like watching Miami those years with Bosch and James. I'm not saying they don't have chemistry, and it's just completely different, and it's different to watch.
It works for them.
Yes. And Jaylen Brown, Finals MVP, played out of his mind.
Yeah.
Out of his mind. Shut Luka down.
Yep.
Like nobody even knew who Luka was.
And I don't think that a lot of people realize that part of his game, the defense, you know.
And it was spectacular.
Yeah. And Tatum had a great series too.
Yep.
He actually averaged more points than Jaylen Brown, but because of the fact that Jaylen Brown shut Luka down, he deservedly so.
The 10 games going into the finals, Jaylen Brown was 50% shooting in 8 out of 10 of them. And his opponent that he defended, as he was the primary defender, shot under 30%.
Wow.
So he's shooting, making over half his shots in almost every game, and the guy, he's guarding ain't even making a third of them. That's ridiculous. Like the ratio, that stuff you think about in the 90s when you think about a shutdown defender.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Another thing we get to talk about here is the individual performance of Kyrie Irving, because I'm personally a big Kyrie fan. I see him second place to Allen Iverson as far as a basketball handler, point guard, where their primary thing is dribbling the ball. Every point guard's got their thing. Magic Johnson's got his no-look passes. John Stockton's got his consistency. Jay Will, no-look passes, and his ability, he has that crossover with dribbling and passing. I feel like Kyrie Irving is second only to Allen Iverson, and they needed him in like the dribble drive game in this series, and he was nowhere to be found. He lost the handle a lot.
I respect the talent, but I'm not a big Kyrie fan. And maybe it was because of the way he left Boston when he was with Boston. But yeah, he kind of disappeared in the finals, and he talked a lot of trash.
Yeah,
and I think he has a grudge still over the Celtics, and he talked a lot of trash, but he couldn't back it up. And but this team became better after he left.
I agree. Because they knew they had a gap to fill, and it wasn't going to be one person, and they were all going to have to pick up some slack.
Exactly.
And Kyrie Irving, it's cartoonish the way he handles the ball. The basketball disappears at times.
Oh, yeah. It's the best. And if anybody doesn't understand how he handles the ball, just go look at all those Uncle Drew skits that he did.
Yeah, right.
Where he's legitimately dressed as an old man.
Yep.
And he's taking these street ballers, the guys who, do all the Harlem Globetrotter stuff and,
right.
White man can't jump type situation.
Sure.
And watch that and the ball control that he has. Go back and watch his days in Cleveland or in Boston and just watch what he can do. And it's incredible. And I know he fell off when he went to Brooklyn, but, he was injured. But
and there was a lot of negative press around him. And that takes a lot of mental fortitude to fight through that and still play on the court in today's social media world.
He thought the earth was flat, but
he might have. He might actually fire back about that.
But anyways, I respect the game, but the individual, the things he said about Boston, the things he said about the guys he played with, it's just like, come on, man.
Yeah.
You played with LeBron in Cleveland and won a ring with LeBron in Cleveland. So, and he's had problems with LeBron too. But don't get me started on LeBron because I'm not a big LeBron fan.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a little bit when we touch on some greatest of all time and not greatest of all time.
Real quick. The Hawks have the number 1 overall pick in the NBA draft. What do you see them doing?
It's kind of hard to tell right now because I can't get in the mind of an Atlanta sports organization. And that's a positive and a negative because, Alex Anthopoulos in Atlanta, I'm not in his head, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I don't know what Arthur Blank is doing in Atlanta.
I mean,
ever.
Maybe the Hawks are going to draft Michael Penix. I don't know.
At this point, I would not be surprised.
I think they should trade it.
Because they don't know what to do with it, because Bronny is the clear top pick.
I think that...
And he don't want to be in Atlanta.
I think L.A. might sneak in and say, hey, we got 3 good players for you, and we'll give you our first-round pick. And, if that's the case, you're going to get 3 decent players from the Lakers. Take it.
Absolutely.
Take it. I mean, and I would trade Trae Young.
I would, too.
Because the trade package that you could get for him would be out of this world.
I mean, we need to hit the reset button in Atlanta for the most part anyway. We need some size. If I'm Atlanta, I'm drafting the 7-footer out of Connecticut.
Yeah.
That's just
they need a big guy. They need a big guy.
We have 0 players over 7 foot. We got a 6'9" and a 6'11" power forward playing center.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's embarrassing when we go play Giannis and
they're dunking over Clint Capella.
Yeah.
And it's
what are we doing here?
He's a forward.
Yeah.
So, but if they don't draft him, trade it. Trade it. Let the Lakers come in, or let somebody else come in. I mean, the Lakers, I say, are ideal because daddy and son, LeBron and Bronny. But the Lakers will give up a whole bunch to have that matchup. I guarantee it.
I mean, they just signed JJ Redick as the head coach. You think that I don't see LeBron and JJ butting heads. I see JJ being pretty much a yes man to LeBron for the most part. That's just the way I see it. I could be wrong. We could hear some media about them arguing.
Yeah.
And LeBron's going to cover that up with just people, fluffing and making smoke where there's no fire.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I got to say LeBron is one of the best down players of all time on the mic. Like when they lose in the playoffs this year, he's like, at the end of the day, it's just basketball. Bro, let me tell you something. We, as fans, are paying money to get tickets. We're paying money to get media packages so we can watch your games, and you're going to talk about how it's just basketball. You are getting paid more than some people will make in a lifetime in a year.
And you get cramps more than most women do.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
You invented a flop to the point where people refer to you more often than they refer to the word flop.
I just want to tell LeBron, you know what? Drink some water. Drink more water so you don't cramp up. People
Eat a
are paying
banana.
good money to see you. But speaking of LeBron, let's segue into some greatest of all time conversation, because you know that there is a dispute between LeBron and MJ, and it's a generational thing. Our generation says Michael Jordan far and away is the best.
Yeah, without a doubt.
There's a generation behind us that's probably more on the Kobe side. And in my opinion, that's 1A and 1B, or 1 and 2.
Yes.
Let's start in baseball.
I'm down.
Greatest of all time, and let's go with our generation in our lifetime, since we didn't get to see guys play in the 50s, 60s, 70s, or really the 80s.
And I think in future episodes, when we got a producer throwing up some videos on the screens and stuff where we can bring what we're talking about to our fans, we'll dive deeper into some of the different eras, but we're going to go along with the land of the living.
And just so people know, we are going to get the social media stuff set up. We are going to get the YouTubes and all that set up to where we will have more interaction with you guys. We'll take suggestions on future topics of the show. But we're getting all that put in place. We wanted to get in the studio and record before we get all that. But that will be set up soon. Hopefully by the time this drops, we'll have it all set up. And then, in future episodes, we'll tell you where you can find us.
Yeah.
So
let's start with baseball.
Okay.
So let's start on the mound. I know that would, you know what? Since that's such an isolated sport, I regret. I digress. Let's start infield. Let's just do infield, outfield, mound.
Okay.
How you feel about that?
So you want to do from like 1990 to now, or
let's go
95 to
95 to now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So for me, I think we all are in agreement at third base. Chipper Jones. Yeah. I mean, 95 was pretty much his rookie year, and he played all the way up to 2012.
I'll look in the comments, but tell me a better third baseman and consistently through 2 decades.
I mean, you could argue Wade Boggs, but he was more of a hitter. He didn't have the power. I mean, I really, off the top of my head, I really can't think of one. I mean, they even put him in left field there for a little bit.
I'll check the comments, but I don't see. I see a few arguments for some teams that we don't really play.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a third baseman right now that I'm not thinking of, but no, nobody pops out like Chipper.
No. I mean, he's the only one I can really think of.
Yeah,
It's gonna be a lot harder with the next one, shortstop.
Ooh. I know we both hate the Yankees.
I know, but respect where respect is due.
That's right. Because we're just talking about careers. Like, who is the greatest of all time because what they did between the time they started and the time they stopped.
And you can't say A-Rod because he did move. He moved to third base.
Yes.
But I think we're all in agreement that number 2 for the Yankees.
Derek Jeter.
Yeah, and I couldn't stand him. But
same.
His game is great.
Yep.
I mean, he was the best guy getting in the hole between short and third and making that throw. And
I mean, the highlight reel you could probably watch for hours.
And then he could hit. I mean, he wasn't a big power hitter.
He was dangerous.
But he could hit, he could run, he could field. Let's see, second base. Man, second base for a long time was guys who could field but couldn't hit. Off the top of my head, who was a good second baseman in that time period? And I'm probably going to get lambasted because there's probably people screaming, "Oh, so-and-so." But, like, I can't think of a really good second baseman from that time period.
I mean, up to today, if you were to ask me who is my favorite second baseman of all time, I'm going to say Ozzie Albies. He's fun to watch. He's not the most consistent player, but out of the left side of that box, he's great. Lead off, 2-hitter. He's fun with the fans. I love Ozzie.
Yeah, Ozzie's great. If you're going to talk about 90s, 2000s, I do have 2 of them that I thought about. Roberto Alomar and Craig Biggio.
Yeah, Craig Biggio.
And Craig Biggio started his career as a catcher.
Yep.
Not too many people know that, and they moved him over to the infield. But, yeah, I mean, today you'd have to say Ozzie Albies. Consistently hitting 20 to 30 home runs, hitting from both sides of the plate. But when it comes to, I remember Roberto Alomar, I mean, I think he's more known for spitting in that umpire's face. But great career. He played with San Diego, Toronto, Cleveland, all over the place. And then Craig Biggio, spending his whole career with the Astros. And he was another guy I couldn't stand because he killed the Braves.
Absolutely.
First base.
Ooh, this one's a real hard one because there's so many good first basemen that were amazing hitters, and you don't have to be athletic to play first base.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about the era of Mark McGwire.
Yep.
We're talking Fred McGriff.
Albert Pujols.
Mo Vaughn, played for the Red Sox.
Freddie Freeman. I mean, look at the all-time ranks. Freddie's starting to climb.
Yeah. I mean,
and he's nowhere near the end of his career.
Oh, I got a name for you. Andres Galarraga.
Ooh.
With the Rockies and the Braves. I mean, the list goes on and on. You can name first baseman Todd Helton with the Rockies.
Yep.
I mean, it's hard to pick. But you know what? If I'm going to pick one, I'm probably going to have to say Albert Pujols.
Yep. I'm going to go with Albert with the honorable mention of Freddie Freeman because he had an entirely different impact on Atlanta before he left.
And his career's not over.
It's far from over.
I mean, he's early mid-30s, but it's still not over.
Yep.
And he's out there playing golf because that's what his swing looks like, guy playing golf. But
so the thing about Freddie for me is, he's a California kid.
Mm-hmm.
money was a thing a few times
Yeah.
when he was in Atlanta, and he never made a big deal out of it.
Nope.
He stayed tried and true. He didn't beat his chest. He didn't say, you don't give me this, I'm gone. And when his time was up, we won a World Series. The next season, it's like, you know what, Freddie, thank you for your time. You can go home now.
But his agent messed that whole situation up.
Right.
But I digress. Moving to catcher.
Yeah. I think that one is a pretty clear cut with Molina Yachty.
You could say Mike Piazza.
Yeah.
Just for the handlebar mustache and the power.
I don't know. I think Yadier Molina is, in my opinion, the greatest catcher of all time.
And being a catcher myself, you couldn't run on that guy.
Yeah, nobody.
You couldn't run. And he has two other brothers that were catchers, Benji and Jose. So that is a catching family,
Yadier had 9 Gold Gloves.
Yeah, I'm telling you. He was
over
great
19
behind
seasons.
the plate.
19 seasons and almost like
with one team.
With one team.
Yeah, and then his two brothers were also catchers. So
what a family.
I mean, a family of catching. I mean, it's crazy. And you look at the pitchers he caught for Wainwright, Chris Carpenter. The list goes on and on. But yeah, it's crazy.
There's only one trio of brothers all time that have won multiple World Series rings. Or no, just a World Series ring. There's only one group of 3 brothers. Two brothers have done it, but a group of 3 brothers, Yadier, Benji, and Jose, all of them have a World Series ring. Benji's the only one with 1. Looks like he's might be the oldest.
Yeah, Benji's the oldest. He played for, I just remember him with the Angels.
I see the Rangers as well.
Yeah, I think he won in 2002 with the Angels,
Benji won in 2002 with the Angels. You are correct.
Yep.
So did Jose. They played together.
Oh, really?
Yep. They won that championship together.
You had your younger brother as your backup, man.
Right.
Man.
And then won a World Series together.
I will say, I have 2 honorable mentions. I will say Yadier Molina will be my choice because you convinced me of it. I will say that just because I watched this guy play his entire career. He played college baseball at Georgia Tech. Jason Varitek.
Yeah.
Very good catcher. Great catcher. He knew how to call pitches. And another guy is going to be Javi Lopez. One of the most underrated catchers to ever play. The guy could hit. Look at the pitchers that he caught for. Glavine, Smoltz, Maddox, he only caught a few times because Maddox liked to use Eddie Perez and the other guys. But Glavine and Smoltz and Avery, I mean, that pitching staff alone, makes you one of the greatest catchers of all time.
That is very true.
And he's so underrated. And, the guy hit 40 home runs a couple of times in his career.
Mm-hmm.
And he had some clutch playoff hits for them as well. All right, so that's our infield. Let's move to the outfield. And this is such a difficult one.
Number 7 on the field, 7 spot, left fielder. That is a rough spot for me. I'm trying to pick that one.
Bonds.
Yeah.
Bonds. I mean, it has to be Bonds. And
yeah, left fielder Barry Bonds.
I mean, and put the whole steroid thing to rest. I mean, you still have to hit the baseball.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it goes a little bit further when you're juiced up, but you still have to hit the ball. And that's one of the hardest things in sports. Anybody will tell you.
Listen to Deion Sanders and Michael Jordan, 2 of the greatest athletes ever to play professional sports. Both of them tell you, hardest thing I ever did in my life was try to hit that dang ball.
Yep.
And when Barry was playing, he was playing control artists like Maddox, who had the movement. It wasn't about how hard they could throw it. You had to hit that ball, and it looked like a fastball, but it dropped in the dirt at the plate.
Exactly.
And he hit them, a lot of them.
And not only that, I mean, he faced so many different pitchers in his career. He hit one out of every ballpark that was an active ballpark in his time. But I'm going to say Barry Bonds, and then I think an honorable mention. Honorable mention, not because of his fielding, but because of his hitting as well, would be for me Manny Ramirez, just for everything he did in Boston, and he played in Cleveland before that, but great hitter. Not the best ball player in the world, not the best fielder in the world, because Manny being Manny, he made a lot of. I mean, the guy was going by. Opening that door in the monster and going and taking breaks in between, batters and stuff. But to me, he was one of my favorite players, one of my favorite Red Sox players. And, so he's an honorable mention for me, but that's more of a personal decision. But greatest of all time, Barry Bonds.
Oh, yeah.
Center field, wow. Ken Griffey Jr. for me.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm saying an honorable mention of Andrew Jones.
Oh, yeah.
There's my Atlanta Braves showing again. Some listeners are going to roll their eyes every time I mention an Atlanta player, and I really want to drive the fact home that this is our podcast and we get to talk about the players we love.
I'm going to mention Braves and Red Sox players both, but Andrew Jones was probably the second best center field. If Ken Griffey Jr. didn't play, Andrew Jones would probably be at the top of a lot of people's lists.
Absolutely.
The guy hit 50 home runs in a season. The guy, was a good power hitter, and he could field the ball. Good. Like the one where he's running up that stupid hill in Houston before they took it out. But he would come out of nowhere and dive for the ball.
And that's another honorable mention. You know what? I don't know if I got to go with Ken Griffey Jr. or Bo Jackson.
Oh, yeah. Griffey, though, he leaped up and caught that ball, and Bo Jackson ran up the side of the wall and back down.
Then threw a guy out.
But in my lifetime, the two greatest catches I've ever seen in my life is that one where Ken Griffey jumps up and takes the home run away, and then the other one is when Andrew Jones made that diving catch on the hill. And, like, the play before that, he messed it. There was, like, a play where it was hit to the hill before that, and he totally messed it up. But then the next one, he dives and makes an over-the-shoulder dive on that hill, and it was incredible. So, yeah, I agree with that.
Rest in peace to the hill.
Honorable mention would go to Andrew Jones, but the greatest center fielder of our time is definitely Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, record holder, Mr. Explosion on the front of the Wheaties box.
Oh, yeah.
He was there at the cusp of branding professional athletes. So he'll always be remembered as one of the GOATs because not only did he get branded, but he brought that level of baseball to the game every time he stepped on the field.
Oh, yeah.
I hate to say it, it really makes me feel like an old man, but these kids don't understand when we say, yeah, he's great right now, but will he leave a lasting impact on the game? We don't know yet.
Yeah.
Derrick Rose left such an impact on the game because everyone truly believed that he was the messiah of the NBA.
Exactly.
And then his career was over.
Yep.
Over. And the comeback was just, it didn't happen.
Well, and Ken Griffey was so good in Seattle and everything, but then he got injury plagued in Cincinnati. Mm-hmm. But then, he had a couple good years at the end of that Cincinnati run, but it was like he was so good in the 90s and so good. Right field.
Ronald Acuna Jr.
Ronald Acuna Jr.
I mean, look, he's young. He will recover. He's going to bounce back. He's clearly not made of rubber, but he is going to bounce back. He's got two torn ACLs, one in each knee. But in between them, he won an MVP.
And the guy created a list that hasn't existed. He did something that no one else has ever done.
And that's hard to do in one of the oldest sports in America.
40-70? Are you kidding me? And people are going to say, oh, they changed the rules for stolen bases. I don't care. 40-70?
Yeah, maybe Ricky Henderson would have sold 300, maybe. But who cares? He did, the rules were different.
I mean, yeah. And Ronald Acuna is up there. And if I'm gonna do a 1A, 1B because I can, because this is our show, so I can break the rules. I'm gonna say Sammy Sosa is my 1B. And
there you go.
He probably wasn't the best fielder in the world. Had a cannon of an arm.
Yeah, if he could catch the ball.
Yeah, had a cannon of an arm. But what he and McGuire did, because the strike hurt baseball so much.
Yeah.
And what he and McGuire did was they brought people back to baseball with that, chasing after Roger Maris, and
which was important to baseball and the future of baseball.
Exactly. And the fact that they were back and forth. And, I think McGuire had 70 and Sammy Sosa ended up with 66, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But and then Bonds did what he did,
73.
Yeah, a couple years later.
2001.
Incredible. And Mark McGuire broke it, but a lot of people don't realize Sammy Sosa broke it too.
Yeah.
So that's our field, our fielders, infield, outfield, pitching. And I think people know what we're going to say, the big three.
Yeah, I mean,
right off the bat. It's
a three-headed monster, They dominated for an entire decade.
3 Cy Young winners.
Yep.
3
Playing
Cy
together.
Young winners. Yeah.
You had a starting pitcher as a closer.
Yeah.
And true fans already know who we're talking about. It's Tom Glavine, Greg Maddux, and the GOAT, in my opinion, John Smoltz.
The only player to ever get, 200 wins and 150 saves?
Wow.
I mean, come on. And not only that, you had to face that split-finger fastball coming from a closer.
Terrifying.
And, I mean, this guy, he looked mean with a hat on. He takes a hat off. He looks like Grandpa. But,
shout out, John.
Maddux.
Come to the show, buddy.
Oh, yeah. Anytime. We'd love to talk to you. Maddux, Glavine, Smoltz. Name another organization that had 3 top pitchers like that. I think
that stayed healthy.
I think the Orioles in the 70s, they had 3 20-game winners, which is incredible. But the fact that they only won 1 World Series with those guys is a travesty.
Yes.
And but 3 Cy Young Award winners, and I'm partial to Tom Glavine myself because he and I were born in the same hospital, years apart. But we were both born in Concord, Mass. at Emerson Hospital. So shout out to that. But I'm also going to throw in Roger Clemens. I mean, the guy made his debut in, I think, 84 and pitched all the way up to, like, his late 40s.
The Rocket.
Roger Clemens. Randy Johnson. Randy Johnson was probably the most intimidating-looking pitcher in my life. And what was that story David Justice told that when he got traded to
when Randy Johnson got traded
to the to the American League? Because he started his career with the Expos, and when he got traded to the American League, he's like, I don't have to face that guy anymore. And then in '97, he gets traded to the Indians. He's like, oh man, I got to face Randy Johnson again.
He's like, not only is this guy, 7 foot tall, he's throwing a pitch that's getting released behind my head, so I don't see it till it's halfway to the plate.
Killed a seagull.
Yeah, right.
Look that video up on YouTube. Randy Johnson kills a bird. The dude releases a pitch. I think it's a spring training game. He releases a pitch, and as he's releasing that pitch, a bird comes flying by, and the pitch comes out of his hand, and he obliterates that thing. Look at that. It's just feathers everywhere. It's just feathers. He
Poor bird.
He obliterated that bird. How did PETA not make... Look, slow-mo. Boom.
Just, what are the chances? What are the chances?
That bird is just done. But one of the best guys... And he looked intimidating. Long hair, the mustache, the face that was all, like, you could tell he had acne bad when he was a kid because it was all, like, divots and everything.
He was terrifying.
He was intimidating. He's coming in almost 7 feet tall. And he's throwing his arm like a whip. And that ball's coming out of there, and you're like, what in the world is this guy?
Right-handed batters were terrified.
He threw a no-hitter against the Braves when he was with Arizona.
It really hurts when you bring things like that up.
Facts are facts.
Hey, David Justice, on the other end of that story, is talking about he was asked in a podcast. We'd love to have you, David, if you're into talking more baseball. Anyway, he was talking about has he ever been scared in an at-bat? Like, what was the most feared pitcher? And he was talking about on a regular basis, it was Randy Johnson. But if he were to ever talk about one particular at-bat, he was the backup right fielder when he was in Cleveland. And the starting right fielder was the leadoff batter, and Greg Maddux, known for his control throughout the entire league. The first pitch of the game just wrecks him in the ear hole and knocks him out, and everybody's kind of quiet. And they all look at David. They're like, hey, man, what position do you play? And he swallows real hard and says, right field. So he says his first at bat in that game was absolutely terrifying because the Braves were looking to make a statement.
Yeah, it's I would have been like, I play left out.
Yep.
You know, my grandpa. I have a story. My grandpa was. They asked him, "You play baseball?" And he's like, "Not really." They said, "Oh well, if you do, what position would you play?" He says, "Left out."
That's good stuff. But
So
I say that wraps up our starting team for the all time. Well, not all time, but our generation's greatest.
maybe next episode we can jump into like football or baseball
Yeah, I
or
think that'd
football
be
and
great.
basketball.
Yeah, football and basketball.
I'm gonna tell you right now, we're not. Even though I'm from up north, we're not gonna talk a lot of hockey.
Yeah, I don't have a
talk
whole lot of hockey knowledge except for the Florida Panthers are taking on the Ottoman Oilers tonight in Game 6 in Ottawa.
Ottawa. How about those Oilers, eh?
Hey, Connor McDavid looking trying to get his first Stanley Cup. He's had an amazing career. I do know that. I played a little NHL on the PS4, and a lot of fun.
I mean, I know Mario Lemieux and Bobby Orr and Sidney Crosby and Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah, well, I mean,
That's
Wayne
about
Gretzky
all, that's
is
about
the
all
GOAT.
my hockey knowledge, I guess. Oh,
Yeah.
Yammer Yager, just because I like the name.
Yeah.
And Patrick Waugh.
Patrick Waugh.
I was like, that dude's name is Roy. It ain't Waugh. But I think that this is a good wrap up, and
And then Mark Stone, of course, from
oh,
the,
yeah,
from
you
the
know.
Stars.
Stone has to recognize Stone.
Yep. Hey.
Thank
Thank you, listeners, for coming in. You can find us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and we love to hear from you. We love to hear your feedback.
Give us some stuff to talk about, some topics, anything you'd like us to talk about. It doesn't really even have to be sports related. We can mix in other stuff. Just give us a holler on any of the social media platforms. We'd love to hear from you.
And remember, fans, it's not always about winning and losing. It's all about how you podcast it.